Trump is moving at lightning speed. Meanwhile, the rest of the world is struggling. Forget catching up. It's hard to even keep track of his moves. And that includes India. The US president is sending mixed signals to India. He says he wants a trade deal by the end of this year, but he's also threatening tariffs. Some of his allies call it a pressure tactic, but frankly, it is confusing and destabilizing. And last week we saw an example of that. President Trump claimed that India had agreed to cut its tariffs. Listen to this.
Right down the line, India charges us massive tariffs, massive. You can't even sell anything into India. It's almost restrictive. It is restrictive. You know, we do very little business inside. They've agreed, by the way, they want to cut their tariffs way down now because somebody's finally exposing them for what they've done.
Turns out we haven't. India's Commerce Secretary has fact-checked Donald Trump. He briefed the parliamentary committee on the tariff situation and he said no such commitment had been made. Yes, talks are underway, but India has not agreed to cut tariffs. That's what the Commerce Secretary said. Now, beyond this, the Secretary made a couple of points. Number one, India wants a mutually beneficial trade deal. It is not focusing on minor tariff tweaks. It wants a long-term deal, something that will settle this issue once and for all. That's point number one. Number two, India is committed to free trade. The Secretary said that a trade war would not benefit anyone. He also said it could lead to a recession. Number three, India has sought time from the United States until September later this year, which fits the timeline agreed by both Trump and Modi. Point number four that the Commerce Secretary made, India could probably escape reciprocal tariffs. Remember, Trump has set a deadline to impose them. Reciprocal tariffs will kick in on the 2nd of April, but the Indian Commerce Secretary suggested that India could escape it. It's not clear how, though. And finally, point number five, India's muted reactions have a logic. The likes of Canada and Mexico have reacted aggressively to Trump's tariffs, but India has not. The Commerce Secretary attributed this to the nature of the tiff. Trump has border and drug issues with Canada and Mexico. They're both US neighbors. But with India, the issue is purely trade. Hence the different response. Now, full disclosure, these committees meet behind closed doors, so all of this is based on sources and reports. None of it is on record. In public, the government of India is saying very little. It has reaffirmed its commitment to free trade. It has also promised to conclude a trade deal with the United States. And all of this is part of a playbook to handle Donald Trump. From what we have seen, the strategy has multiple parts. The first part is concessions. India has cut tariffs on non-critical items, things like American whiskey and expensive bikes. The idea is to give Trump something to flaunt. The second part of India's strategy is talks. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal was in the US last week. He held talks with Trump's trade envoy, and this week he's meeting Indian industry and trade representatives. The goal is to gauge the impact, to see how the tariffs may hurt India. And finally, the third tactic, keeping it non-confrontational. That is important. Trump has been saying a lot of things about India. He's called India tariff king. He's called us a tariff abuser. Last week, he wrongly claimed that India had reduced its tariffs, yet New Delhi has been silent. It is not reacting to every single statement by Donald Trump. Instead, India is looking at his actions. And this approach is not new. A lot of Trump's former advisors have spoken about it. They say, focus on the actions, not on the words. Consider the tariffs on Canada and Mexico. In his statements, Donald Trump keeps threatening tariffs. But he's paused and delayed it twice, which suggests that he is not as serious about them as he claims. Nonetheless, he is the President of the United States of America, so you have to prepare for all eventualities. India's challenge is to strike a balance. Most people agree that our tariffs have to be reworked. Some of them are way too high. But it's crucial to not go too far, to protect critical industries and to defend certain barriers. Let's see if New Delhi can strike that balance.
Merci beaucoup. Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Namaste, Mr. President.
Bharat Kelogan, Komeri Namaste.
How many people generally follow you in interviews?
Typically, in a month, we have viewers up to 150 million. That's more than twice the population of France. And in the last 2 years, we had 3 billion viewers. So I say, Laurent, this is your chance to be famous. You're on Firstpost. One word to describe your equation with Prime Minister Modi.
Amitié.
As India and France work together, are you creating a new era of non-alignment in the technology space?
India is a training superpower. 1 million engineers a year, more than all of Europe and the US combined. So we have that partnership. We have a partnership on the environment and the economy. We also have civilian nuclear programs. And that is something we've developed far beyond the France-India relationship. So we want to work together on AI.
And then comes China with its DeepSeek, creating models at a fraction of the cost. Did that innovation take you by surprise? Did that breakthrough make you sit up and think, what did the Chinese do and how?
But what did DeepSeek do? They took everything that was already available from the last AI model and then they recalibrated it.
So are you going to ban Chinese AI in France?
So we don't have this American approach of banning tech because of where it comes from.